You don't need to burn a house down if you know how it's built. And you don't need to steal money if you can erase the proof it ever existed. In 1867, one woman destroyed a dynasty without anyone realizing it until it was too late. Richmond, Virginia, March 14th. The largest land auction in the city's post-war history. Hundreds of buyers, lawyers, bankers, speculators, all waiting because one property stood above all the others. Ashford Hall. 6,000 acres. 3 generations of wealth. The Beaumont family. The kind of name that doesn't fall. Estimated value, $200,000. A fortune designed to last forever. On paper. At exactly 10 o'clock, the auction begins. The Beaumont attorney, Harrison Caldwell, steps forward, opens his portfolio, and freezes. Something is wrong. Very wrong. His hands start to shake because the numbers don't match the story. Assets missing. Contracts incomplete. Debts everywhere. The fortune isn't shrinking. It's gone. Not damaged. Not weakened. Gone. $200,000. Evaporated. In real time. In front of everyone. And no one understands how. Behind the crowd, near the back of the hall, there's a woman. Simple gray dress, white headscarf, quiet, unnoticed. Exactly where she needs to be. Her name is Catherine Wallace, 44 years old. For 26 years, she worked in the Beaumont household. Not in the fields, not in the shadows, in the kitchen. Close enough to hear everything, to remember everything. Business dinners, bank conversations, contracts, investments. She never interrupted, never questioned, never existed beyond what they needed. But she listened, and she learned. Because Catherine was not supposed to understand money. But she did. She could read, write, calculate. Skills her mother had taught her in secret, years before. That made her useful, but also dangerous. And over time, she realized something. The Beaumont power wasn't in their land. It wasn't in their name. It wasn't even in the people they controlled. It was in their paper, their contracts, their signatures, their records. And paper could be changed. Quietly, patiently, completely. But Catherine didn't act. Not yet. Because knowledge, without timing, is useless. And she was waiting, watching, measuring, until something happened that changed everything. Not in a courtroom, not in a bank, but in a field. Her son, James, 19 years old, born into slavery, freed on paper, still working the same land, for almost nothing, still controlled. And one day, he asks a simple question. Pay me what I'm worth. Not rebellion, not defiance, just fairness. And for that, He is beaten, with the same whip, the same post, as if nothing had changed, as if freedom was just a word. James dies. 3 days later. Infection, pain, silence. And in that moment, Catherine understands something with perfect clarity. Freedom was never the system. Money was. Control was. Paper was. And paper could be destroyed. Not with fire, not with force, but with precision. 7 months. That's all it takes. 7 months to dismantle a dynasty. And when the auction begins, in March of 1867, it's already over. They just don't know it yet. Catherine doesn't move fast. She moves correctly. Because destroying a system isn't about force. It's about access. And Catherine has more access than anyone realizes. The kitchen is not just where food is made. It's where information passes through. Every dinner, every meeting, every quiet conversation that wasn't meant for her. She hears it. Bank names, loan terms, land titles. Who owes what? Who signed what? Where everything is kept. And more importantly, where everything is weak. Because every fortune, no matter how large, has cracks. And Catherine learns to find them. The Beaumont estate is built on layers. Land, loans, contracts, paper on top of paper, promises backed by signatures, and assumptions. Assumptions that no one will look too closely, that no one needs to, that the system will hold itself together forever. That's where she begins. Not at the top, at the edges. A missing receipt, a delayed payment, a number slightly off. Nothing obvious, nothing dramatic, just small changes. Because small changes don't get noticed. They get filed. And once they're filed, they become real. On paper. She starts with timing. Payments that arrive late. Not too late. Just enough to trigger penalties. Then documentation. Copies that don't match originals. Signatures, slightly misaligned. Enough to raise questions. Not enough to prove anything. Not yet. And questions are dangerous. Because questions slow things down. Banks hesitate. Buyers reconsider. Lawyers double-check. And every delay costs money. Real money. Then she moves deeper. Land titles. The backbone of the estate. Who owns what? What belongs where? What can be sold? And she introduces doubt. A boundary, slightly unclear. A parcel with conflicting records. Two versions of the same truth. Now the land can't move cleanly, can't be trusted. And if land can't be trusted, it can't be sold. Not at full value, not without risk. And risk kills price. kills confidence. Then she touches the loans, quietly, carefully, because loans are where power lives. Not land, debt, obligations, deadlines. She shifts them, reorders them, connects them in ways no one sees. So when one piece moves, another one breaks, and another. A chain reaction that looks like coincidence, but isn't. And through all of it, she never rushes, never panics, because rushing creates patterns, and patterns get caught. So she stays invisible, consistent, patient. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, 7 months. And by the end of it, the Beaumont fortune is no longer solid. It's fragile, unstable, one push away from collapse. But here's the part no one sees. She never takes a dollar, never signs her name, never leaves a mark that points back to her. Because this was never about stealing. It was about erasing. Erasing certainty. Erasing trust. Erasing the illusion that their power was permanent. And when the auction day arrives, everything is already in place, balanced, on the edge. All it needs is one moment, one reveal, and the entire structure falls in on itself. 10 o'clock. The room is full. Buyers ready, lawyers prepared, money waiting to move. Ashford Hall is called, the crown of the estate, the moment everyone came for. Harrison Caldwell steps forward, confidence still intact. He opens the file again, slower this time, careful. And that's when it starts. A question from the front. Can you verify the title boundaries? Simple, routine, expected. Caldwell nods, turns the page, finds the document. But something doesn't align. The map and the description don't match. Just slightly. Just enough to hesitate. And hesitation, in a room like this, is dangerous. Another voice. What about the lien filed in January? Caldwell pauses again, because that lien shouldn't exist. He flips pages, faster now, searching, finds it, stamped, filed, official, but incomplete, missing a signature, missing a confirmation. Now the room shifts, subtle at first, chairs moving, eyes narrowing. A banker leans forward. If the lien isn't valid, the title isn't clear. And if the title isn't clear, the property can't be trusted. Another buyer speaks. What about the outstanding debt? I'm seeing 2 different numbers. 2 numbers, same account, different totals. Now Caldwell is sweating, because he sees it, the pattern. Everything almost correct, but not enough. Clean, but not clean enough. Solid, but not stable. And the room feels it. Confidence starts to drain. No one wants to bid first. No one wants to touch it. Not now. Because this isn't just land anymore. It's risk. Legal risk. Financial risk. The kind that follows you. The kind that destroys you. Quietly. Caldwell tries to recover. Clears his throat. Reassures the room. Everything will be verified. Everything will be corrected. Standard procedure. But it's too late. Because doubt, once introduced, doesn't leave. It spreads. From one buyer to another. From one question to 10 to 20. And every answer creates another problem. Another inconsistency. The numbers don't match. The documents don't align. The timeline doesn't hold. And now, no one is thinking about profit. They're thinking about exposure. Lawsuits, investigations, loss, real loss. So they step back, one by one, quietly. No bids, no movement, no sale. Ashford Hall, the centerpiece, collapses. Not burned, not taken, rejected. And once that happens, everything else follows. The smaller properties, the secondary land. If the center is unstable, nothing around it can hold value. The auction doesn't fail loudly. It dies quietly, in confusion, in hesitation, in silence. $200,000 doesn't disappear in flames. It disappears in doubt. And behind the room, near the back, Catherine stands. Still, calm, watching. Not celebrating, not reacting. Because this moment was never the goal. It was the result of everything she already did. The system didn't break today. It revealed that it was already broken. The room empties, slower than it filled. No shouting, no panic, just quiet withdrawal. Men who arrived confident leave careful, measured. No one wants to be the last one standing, not in a deal that doesn't make sense anymore. Harrison Caldwell stays, at the front, still holding the file, still flipping pages, as if something inside them will suddenly fix itself. But it doesn't. Because nothing is missing. Nothing is obviously wrong. Everything is there, just not aligned, not reliable. And that's worse, because you can fix a mistake. You can't fix uncertainty. Behind him, the Beaumont name is losing weight. Not in reputation, not yet, but in value. Because value doesn't live in land. It lives in trust. And once trust breaks, everything attached to it starts to fall. The Beaumont estate still exists, on paper. But paper no longer agrees with itself. And that changes everything. Across the city, word spreads, not as a story, as a question. What happened? Can it be trusted? Is it safe? And when those questions start, money stops moving. Banks hesitate. Buyers wait. Investors pull back. Because uncertainty is expensive, and no one wants to pay for it. Within days, the Beaumont holdings are frozen. Not seized, not destroyed, just untouchable. And untouchable assets don't generate power. They suffocate it. Meanwhile, Catherine returns home. Same path, same steps, same routine. She wakes up early, prepares food, moves quietly. Nothing about her has changed. And that's the point, because Catherine never wanted attention. She wanted outcome, precision. She didn't take their land, didn't claim their money, didn't replace their power with her own. She removed the structure that made their power possible and let it collapse. That's the difference between force and understanding. Force destroys what you can see. Understanding destroys what holds it together. And Catherine understood something that most people never do. Power is rarely visible. It's built on agreement, on signatures, on records, on the belief that everything is in order. And once that belief is gone, power doesn't fight back. It disappears. Quietly. Completely. No one arrests her. No one accuses her. No one even looks at her. Because there's nothing to point to. No stolen money, no broken locks, no visible crime. Just a system that stopped working. All on its own. That's how clean it is. That's how complete it is. And that's why no one understands it. Not fully. Not yet. But they feel it. In the silence. In the hesitation. In the space where certainty used to be. And Catherine, she carries something now. Not relief, not victory. Clarity. A quiet, unshakable understanding of how the world actually works. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. No one writes her name down. No report. No accusation. No record that Catherine Wallace had anything to do with it. Because on paper, nothing was taken. Nothing was broken. The Beaumont estate collapsed on its own. That's the story people tell. That's the version that makes sense. But the truth is quieter than that. Because Catherine didn't attack the system. She understood it completely. She saw where it lived. Not in land, not in people, in paper, in signatures, in records that everyone trusted without question. And she asked one simple thing. What happens if that trust disappears? The answer is what you just saw. Everything falls. Because power is not what people think it is. It's not force. It's not control. It's agreement. A shared belief that something is real, that something holds, that something will always be there. And once that belief breaks, power doesn't fight back. It vanishes. That's what Catherine took. Not money, not land. Certainty. She erased it, piece by piece, until nothing remained but doubt. And doubt is enough. Enough to stop a sale. enough to freeze a fortune, enough to end a dynasty, without a single weapon, without a single witness, without a single trace. That's the part people don't like to sit with, because it changes the story. It means power was never as solid as it looked. It means control was never permanent, just protected. Protected by habit, by assumption, by people not looking too closely. And once someone does, once someone understands, everything shifts. Catherine never raises her voice, never demands attention, never claims what she's done. Because this was never about being seen. It was about being precise, about knowing exactly where to touch something so it falls on its own. And somewhere, in a quiet room, in a house that no longer belongs to the Beaumonts, a woman sits, still, unchanged. Asked her what revenge looks like. She wouldn't say fire. She wouldn't say violence. She wouldn't say destruction. She would say precision. Because the most powerful thing you can take from someone is not what they have. It's what they believe they have. And once that's gone, everything else follows.